really hard to vocalize, because these are things that the brain will compartmentalize so that you really don't have to think, you try not to think about those things a lot. So saying it out loud, I wasn't expecting, just saying it out loud, it's really what she dealt with. It's brutal to think about. The reason why I'm shocked thinking about it, shocked that it's upsetting me, is because she really did not make a fuss about it. She didn't ever go into woe is me. And she didn't do that on such a level. She ignored that and just, this is so not part of her DNA that it would allow people around her to forget, including me, that this is the card she's dealt. She made it easy for people to be around her. I think that's why she was so private, though. In the end, it was really a lot of times just me and her, because I don't think she wanted to see people when she couldn't do those things. So she really had to be ready for company, having no ability to move. And you think about it, I analyze it all the time. Thought about, why wouldn't she want this one or that one, a close friend or a relative, to come into the room? You'd think she'd want to do that. And I would sometimes think, geez, we're turning away a lot of guests. And then I'd have to remember, imagine laying in bed, in a hospital bed. You haven't been able to shower or do your hair or do the things that you do to get ready to be in public in weeks, in a month, in a month and a half. So there's that. You're wearing clothes that you have no power over, clothes that have the ability, the clothes that you have to choose. You can't choose. You're wearing a Johnny because you have to have access to all these. There's tubes coming out of your body. So did she want guests? And you wonder, she was awful private. Her bowels were in a bag. The waste coming out of her bowels, you could see in real time through a tube, coming out and going into a bag. She was laying in bed wearing a Johnny. It's the only thing she could have worn. And in order to get ready for company, she would need me or someone else to do a few things that probably would cause her a lot of discomfort. On top of all that, while the company is present and they come in and they hang out and you visit with them, you have zero power over anything. You can't move or change positions. You can't even change positions. So it's very understandable, and it's very it's remarkable the way she handled that, because she had plenty of guests, and when she was with those guests, guess what? She was the same Rachel she always was. Same Rachel, And to me, it's just odd. It's odd to say this, but her attractiveness never decreased to me. It increased. And I would say that to her. And I think if you're her and you're hearing that, you think, well, geez, that's the nice thing to say, and that's what, a good guy would say. But I really meant it. because I was in awe. I was just in awe of her. So, the things that attracted me to Ray had nothing to do with products or hairstyle or shapes and shadows. I mean, of course they did. It was shapes and shadows, or just the structure of her bones. But more than that was just the way she was. So in those days, I couldn't believe that I was with this person. You think of it like this, like, I remember as a kid being in hospitals, or I remember meeting people that were sick. I remember being in Disneyland and, meeting someone who was on like a Make-A-Wish, or being around people that were sick. And I remember being around someone who, dealt a bad hand, And I remember like going home or like leaving their presence. And I always felt this like feeling that I wished I could be in their life more. Like almost just, I don't know, it's a strange feeling. Just like this, like, I remember leaving them in this like bad feeling about leaving them. Like, oh man, I was just in their presence briefly, but I really, really wish I was something more to them. I wish that they were a real part of my life or something. It's just a real, just kind of awe. And so the fact that I had this girl, and she was the woman I'm marrying, is just, oh man, it's such a bitter sweetness, It's like, God, I just felt so lucky in those days. Lucky, and it's almost this feeling of like this glad feeling that I had proven all the hunches I had, or like all the things I knew about Rachel. I really got to prove it to everyone. Like, look, this girl, this girl that you just witnessed chose me. It was weird, a feeling. We chose each other. It was, I don't know. It just, I felt my life was very meaningful in those days. Very purposeful. So cancer will eventually, in some cases, take all of your power, all of your earthly power away, until it takes your power, your ability to breathe away, your ability for your heart to continue pumping. And that's what happened to Rachel. Took all of that earthly power away. And as a response to that, Rachel only had one place where she could put all of her power into, and it was her faith in where she was going. And she always, at the Bible and, Jesus' story and the story of Christ was always something mystical to her and something she believed in. But that faith just really grew in the end. And me being such a skeptic, I would have a hard time with it, because I would leave her sometimes and think, well, geez, that's what people would do. And, you have to hold on to something whether it's real or not, you have to find something. So blind faith, let's do it, But there were moments, and there became my life, became our life, where I saw God. I watched someone in the scariest place. In the most powerless place. I watched her find peace, real peace. And I watched her, she showed me how to appreciate life when you have nothing, when you have no power. You have no comfort. You have nothing. But she still appreciated waking up in the morning and giving gifts to people and, stuff like that. Taking a shower when you have no power. And I'm cleaning her off, and she grabs the sponge and looks at me and starts cleaning. Looks at me with no fear. No sorrow. It just starts cleaning my arm. And that's when I began to have no doubts. No doubts. I got to see the intent. This kind of thing that's happening is just is what God intended, really. These are the things that have real value. And I got to see that, and she showed that to me. So, as cancer will take away your power, in other ways, you'll find a power that's greater. So, and Rachel found that power, and then she handed it to me. She showed it to me. Because in those moments, man, if there was one thing that was sure, God was there. God, those moments, I felt it. So, that's it for tonight. I'm sorry it became a sob fest. It's hard to talk about. Sometimes you reveal things to yourself while you're talking about it. So, I guess that's why I do these. Sometimes I want to talk about it. It's very powerful shit. So, fuck cancer. Yeah. Good night.